Okay, so I'm gonna spend the next 24 hours making a game in the Unity's first ever version, Unity 1.0. So if you go to the Unity docs, the last version I'm able to download is 3.x. But I did some digging on the Unity forums and found this random ass bozo. He posted a bunch of links for the old versions of Unity. One problem is that Unity came out on Mac until version 2.5, so I'm gonna need my MacBook. There seems to be an issue here. Turns out that I'm gonna have to use the first ever Windows version since MacBook sucks. And you know, it's called Unity. When you start it says that you have to get a trial because before you had to pay for Unity right away. What is this? Wow, this is a very old intro scene. Everything looks so ugly, but we expected that. They even let you have a first-person controller. But let's make our own scene. The first thing you'll notice is the fact that making new components and game object is weird. But once you get used to it being on top, it's actually the same. The thing that you recognize right away is the awful camera controls. There's no up-down movement with Q and E, and it's all way too fast. Look at this lighting, bruv. Oh my god, this sucks so much. What the hell is going on? Where even is this direction light going? Right when I said that, I discovered this button right here, which actually turns off lighting. The lighting is so weird in here that I don't know what's happening, so I went and snatched the lights from the sample project. I didn't know what game I should make, so the very first instinct was to import some FBX models. I figured it should work, right? Nope, at least the one I was trying to import, so I had to think of a simple game with basic shapes. Right about now, I kinda realized that this thing is not the same at all. It's actually doing Unity on hard mode, since you cannot Google. If you go onto Google and even if you type the version, it won't tell you the right answers, so I found their documentation inside the Unity install. So this is how it's gonna look. So this panel will have different shapes on it, and you have to set your own shape to match the shape on the cube. I made all of the shaped cubes in Blender and tried to import it. It's time to make the player controller. The hell is this? Unisite? Where the hell is the Visual Studio, bro? So there's this IDE that Unity provides, and it's actually the worst thing in the whole world. Not only does it not have line numbers, but it actually doesn't tell you what you did wrong or even highlight your mistakes. This is literally Notepad. How in the heck did people make games before? Nowadays, I open Visual Studio and it basically does the whole function for me. Not only that, but the error messages you get in Unity are so goddamn confusing. And also, let's not forget that this Unity is pretty old, so a lot of functions are not the same, or they don't even exist yet in this version. I was doing the movement and I needed the move forward function, and obviously it didn't exist. So I struggled for about 2 hours to make a decent controller. There's a new input system which I had to research in the documentation. The inspector is all weird, you can't even see what you're changing. Every time you want to get a new component, you have to cast it. It was so strange and unknown that I had to spend a lot of time researching that. And that is when it hit me that making a game nowadays is way easier than ever. You get so much help from both Unity and Visual Studio, it's actually insane. But I made a controller work. The plan is to make this kind of movement where you can move only from side to side, and then I'll add animations later. I wanted to do it with code, but then I decided I want to try animations as well. And thank god that on-trigger enter is still here, because I need to make a score system, and that part is pretty much the same as it's in regular Unity. The only one extremely dumb thing that I found, for some unknown reason, if you put colliders on both objects, they don't collide. How in the living hell? So I had to use very strange tactics to avoid that. I had to set up custom triggers, but it was time for the score system, or UI. When you add a text, you don't get a canvas. You don't even get the ability to adjust font size. I even tried doing it in the script. It gives me an error every time. So we have to settle on this small ass text. Other than that, the setting up of the text is pretty much the same as it is in the current version. Right away, I started working on making a spawner for the shape objects, which is just an array where I randomly instantiate an object of the array like this. And it actually works as it does in the regular Unity. Very cool. Now, by far the most annoying thing in this version, apart from the casting that I mentioned before, is the find object of type. It's not as easy as it is now, but I wanted to make every object have one speed, so I did it. And now I can adjust their speeds based on the score you have. Now that the main functionality of the game finally works, it's time to actually make this look nice. And this is where stuff gets very interesting. Don't know if it's me, but I didn't see an animation bar built into Unity yet. There's absolutely no way of making animations directly from the engine like you can now. Instead, you probably have to do them in Blender. I tried looking in the window panel, add item panel, the documentation. Nope, doesn't exist. So I had to accept that there won't be any animations. At least we can make some dope ass particles. The hell is all this? Well, honestly, this didn't go very well. I didn't know what half of these things are. Also, what the hell is energy? It's now time to make a death scene. If you hit something that's not your shape, you're gone. I put a cool ass text and this particle effect that I found. Now you can basically explode once you die. And for the end, I changed the colors of the game object, making it even freaking worse than before. I tried adding this reflective color, it just didn't work. But then I added this nice skybox color, and I also tried exporting, but that doesn't work either. I was stuck with this scene, and if you press this image, it started to download something, so you guys can't cannot play it either. I finished with 2 hours left, and honestly it sucks that it's this ugly, but at least I learned how much easier it is living in the current version of Unity. Subscribe for more videos.